Hey, drum heads, little drummer boy here. Hope you had a great Christmas where we celebrated our Lord Jesus' birthday. And this is MAGA Good news for the week ending Saturday, December 21st, 2019, the 73rd anniversary of late, great Beach Boy lead guitarist Carl Wilson being born. So, first of all, we're going to start out with on December 16th. It was released that 34% of black support of President Trump is 34%, the highest ever. Now, keep in mind that blacks usually only vote 9 to 10% for the party that freed the slaves, the party of Lincoln. So they're coming back home to the party that freed them. They are not believing they're getting off the Democratic plantation of low expectations and government dependence. They are no longer drinking the fake news Kool-Aid, and they are coming back home to the party of Lincoln, the party that gave them their freedom to start with, and the party that pushed the Civil Rights Act through Congress, the Republican Party. So yeah, Trump is killing it with blacks. 35% support among them, which is astronomical. And I think the polls are off. It's probably above 50% because the polls are skewed. They oversample Democrats. So, and once the Democrats lose minorities, then they're over as a party. And I think they're going to be over as a party anyway because of what they did last week in particular. Not to mention the crazy stuff they stand for, like getting rid of farting cows. The 133rd stock market record broken since President Trump was elected. That happened on the 16th, I believe. And Ivanka Trump, President's beautiful daughter, who is also working for free for our country, she visited the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East over Christmas, and that is the Al Udeid Air Base, our Air Force Base. And there's some great pictures on her Facebook of her meeting lady pilots there. The Dow gained its 10,000th point since Trump's election. The Dow had never been over 20,000 before Trump, and now in not even 3 years' time, it's approaching 30,000. So for all of you that have investments, that's good news. Vote for Trump. You have to be foolish or suicidal to vote against Trump, because you would be you would be voting against your own best interest. I mean, when have we ever had this kind of peace and prosperity and protection of religious freedom ever in our country? The president signed the USMCA. Well, actually, the Senate hasn't passed it yet. So, but Congress has passed the UMCA, and now the Senate has to pass it, and the president will sign it into law, hopefully in the new year, and it's replacing NAFTA, which killed lots of Americans' jobs. Here where I live in the Catawba County, Hickory, North Carolina area, NAFTA just killed textiles. Textiles and furniture were the two big jobs around here, and NAFTA killed textiles. There's a few textile mills left, but not a lot. And then furniture has been going out the door too, because furniture is related to textiles, because the textile companies made the cloth for the furniture, right? So, and a lot of that's been done offshore now. When I was a container hauler, I hauled in loads of Chinese-built furniture on containers, and they would warehouse them in empty former upholstery plants. And considering that, it was my job to haul it in, and imports do make jobs for truckers, sailors, and longshoremen, but consider my dad was an upholsterer of over 30 years. It made me sad to, bringing that imported furniture in here to North Carolina where it used to be built. Phase 1 of the China deal has been agreed on, and $1.38 billion has been secured for the security border wall, which I like to call Kate's Wall. I wish President Trump would name it Kate's Wall, or maybe name a section of it for each, for the angel moms, for each of their kids who has been killed by an illegal immigrant that should have never been here to start with, like Kate Steinle, whose murderer was deported 5 times. And then acquitted by a San Francisco jury. Go figure. Anyway, Kate's Wall, it's been built. And yeah, it would be great if every section of it would be named after an innocent victim of illegal immigrants. Trump appointed his 50th federal judge. Now, this is great news, y'all, because the Trump judges believe the Constitution, and most of them probably believe the Bible, too, which our system of laws is based on the Ten Commandments and the Bible, no matter what any secularist tries to say. So, Obama was lazy. Obama thought Hillary was going to be elected, and he didn't appoint judges. So, by him not appointing judges, guess what? That left a huge, because he thought Hillary could do it. He was out playing golf all the time. So he left this huge vacancy. And in a short of 3 years' time, President Trump has appointed 50 federal judges, including some to the Ninth Circuit, or as Rush would call it, the Ninth Circus, because they always go against the Constitution out there on the left coast. But this is going to have a great impact for the rest of our lives, for those of us that are middle-aged anyway. Because these are lifetime appointments, and so we've got judges on the bench that Trump has appointed that actually believe the Constitution, believe in our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and Second Amendment rights to protect those freedoms. So that's great. Now, if the Lord would take out Ginsburg and some of the other Democrats, God-hating Democrats on the Supreme Court, maybe a couple more, that would just be beautiful, because then Trump could put on a couple more judges that believe the Bible and the Constitution, and we could end the slaughter of the unborn, which was never voted on by Congress or signed in law by a president anyway. All right, I'm chasing rabbits. There a lot happened this week. Considering the vote that was taken against President Trump, he got more done than ever this week, so I need to stay on track and keep it concise. The House approved the Space Force, and President Trump signed the Space Force in. So, young ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Trekkie, if you love Star Wars, if you are adventurous, they used to say space is the new frontier, and it is, because China, they're working on Space Force. So, President Trump is on top of the game with the Space Force. And, when they were doing the moon launches and stuff, and NASA first started, people thought that was a useless waste of money. Christian rocker Larry Norman, in one of his comedy songs, talked about how we spent $15 million at that time, it seemed like a huge amount of money 50 years ago, to bring back a bag of moon rocks. He said, those are awfully expensive rocks, But people didn't see a reason for NASA. But now, all of our satellite technology, you millennials couldn't get out of your driveway without NASA and the satellites that are going over constantly, because most of the younger generation probably doesn't even know how to read a map. But, and I admit it, I'm a trucker. I know how to read a map. I have since I was a small kid. My dad taught me, but I use GPS now too. Who doesn't? Most of the time, it's pretty good. Sometimes, well, especially in trucking, it can get you into a jam with low bridges and stuff. But anyway, my point is Space Force. Yeah, it's coming about. And, man, if you were young and want to have an adventure and serve your country, really, I don't know how the other 4 branches are going to keep up with the Space Force recruitments, because there's going to be so many kids wanting to go into Space Force. I think that's really cool and going to be really beneficial to our country in the future. And, I forgot what I was going to say. I had a great thought there, but it just slipped away. Y'all pray for me. I've been having concentration problems lately. I don't know what's wrong with me. I know what I was going to say now. And the commander of the Space Force, he's going to be on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. There's going to be 5 on the Joint Chiefs of Staff now, the head of the Army, Navy, the Air Force, and the Space Force. Congressman Jeff Van Drew, I was hoping, and in my vision I had more of them coming over, and maybe there will be in the future, but Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey has repented from the Democrat Party and came over to the Republicans and voted against the overthrow of President Trump because he was going to have none of overthrowing an innocent president who is doing an amazing job. The president held a Merry Christmas, and what a place to do it, because I ate a lot of Hershey's over Christmas, and I got a lot of Hershey's for my family over Christmas. Everybody got some Hershey's unless they were diabetic, and then they got some Planters peanuts. But President Trump held a Merry Christmas rally in Hershey, Pennsylvania, up there on I-78, the PA Turnpike. And as always, it was overflow. Thousands overflowed watching, jumbotrons out in the parking lot because the arena was packed. The next thing we go to, bear with me here. Got to turn the page, as Bob Seger saying. Turn the page. In a USA Today poll, now USA Today is not a conservative outlet, but in a USA Today poll, President Trump is leading all the clown show Democrats. I mean, is that a surprise? He's so successful, and I mean, their field is a freak show. I mean, what else can you say about it? The stuff stuff they support. Banning cars, banning planes, banning cows for farting, killing babies at 9 months, and after they're born, like Governor Northam said, you want to keep it comfortable and wrap it up in swaddling clothes, and then the mother and the doctor will make a decision. Yeah, he better make a decision. He's going to split hell wide open. The U.S., hang on a second. I have a hard time reading my writing, y'all, but hitting sloppy writing sign of a genius, don't they say? Look at your doctor's signature. U.S. manufacturing was higher for November than thought it was going to be. U.S. new housing starts is at a 12-and-a-half-year all-time high. And guess who the president was 12-and-a-half years ago? Let's see. That would have been George W. Bush. The last time the U.S. housing starts were this high was the last time we had a Republican president. Well, as my ex-girlfriend Amy would say, well, what do you know? So let's see. Now, here's a biggie. As another congressman talked about, December 7th, Pearl Harbor, been a date that will live in infamy. Well, December 18th is also now a date that will live in infamy. December 18th, the Democrats, on a purely 100% partisan vote, no Republicans voted with them because they weren't even voting on a crime, but on a 100% partisan vote, the Democrats voted to overthrow God's anointed and appointed Donald John Trump for no crime, but just because, as they have admitted, Representative Al Green admitted, we can't beat him, so we better impeach him. So anyway, yeah, thank you, Democrats, for the early Christmas present of trying to overthrow our president, because not only is he going to beat you, like Al Green said, he's going to stomp you in the ground with his economy and his peace with North Korea and his America First, national security agenda and your crazy policies. Okay, that's two things he's got for him. But now you tried an illegal, well, you've been trying it for 3 years. You admitted it 3 years ago, even before they were using that I word even before he was elected. I posted on my Facebook a video of it. Anyway, now they voted to overthrow our president without any merit, without any crime committed. They voted to overthrow him for the very thing that Joe Biden and his son are guilty of, and that's bribery with Ukraine. I mean, Biden is on videotape saying, if my son's prosecutor is not fired when I leave here within 6 hours, you're not getting the money. And he's talking about billions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money. Then he says, I'll keep it clean for the children. Well, son of a beep, he got fired. So just like Saul Alinsky told him to do in Rules for Radicals, which is dedicated to Lucifer, the first person to rebel against the establishment. Just like Saul Alinsky told him to do in Rules for Radicals, the Democrats always blame their opposition for what they're guilty of. It was Hillary and the DNC that colluded with Russia, not only to sell our uranium to them for money to the Clinton Foundation, but also to buy the dirty dossier, so sick and disgusting that only Democrats and Russians could think it up. And she used it against her political opponent to frame President Trump. All right, and then, so here again, with the Bidens in Ukraine, they're blaming Trump with what they're guilty of. But God is going to turn this around, because the Bible says, whosoever diggeth the ditch will fall into it. And Bob Marley elaborated a little more on that too. He says, whosoever diggeth the pit shall fall in it, shall fall in it. Whosoever diggeth the ditch shall lay in it, shall lay in it. If you have a big tree, wow, 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 we have a small axe, wow, 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 sharpened to cut you down, wow, 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 sharpened to cut you down. So the Democrats have just cut themselves down. That vote was actually a huge gift for President Trump. And as a result, within 48 hours of the vote to overthrow President Trump, he raised $10 million in the next 48 hours for his campaign. He's already got like twice as much money in the coffers for his campaign as the Democrats do. And now he raised $10 million more in 2 days thanks to the overthrow vote. His approval rises while support for the overthrow vote falls and just drops off the radar. President Trump, along with signing in the new Space Force, he signed in a $738 billion defense spending bill on Friday, December 19th. That same day, now this is 2 stock market records in a row. That same day, the 135th stock market record broken since the Trump election. And one day, the stock market broke this record one day after the vote to overthrow him. Amazing. And that's it, y'all. It's a long one because he got a lot done. I mean, this just shows how God's hand is upon him. The more the devil and the Antichrist agenda, who hates the wall because it doesn't fit their New World Order, global one world government agenda, the more they try to stop Trump, the more successful he is. It's amazing. It's just amazing. It's like how the Pharisees, always tried to stop Jesus and prevent everything he was doing. He was just doing miracles left and right in their face. And well, you could say a lot of what Trump's doing is miraculous, but to God be the glory. He's in control of this whole thing. He just handpicked Trump. And I saw a video this week of a preacher, Kim Clement, look it up. In 2007 and 2014, in particular 2007, he prophesied that God would use Trump as a trumpet, and he would not be a praying man when he went into the office, but he would be, God would fill him with this Holy Spirit and speak through him, because he had chosen him to defend Israel, to defend the unborn, and chosen him to defend Israel, just like he chose King David, a very imperfect man, actually a lot more imperfect than Trump, to defend Israel. That's MAGA Good news, y'all, for the week ending December 21st, the first day of winter, the shortest day of the year, and the winter solstice. Hey, we got longer days now, starting every day. But anyway, it's MAGA news for that week, and I hope y'all have a happy, blessed, safe, not only 2020, but 2020s, because we're going into a new decade, y'all. Time is just flying by, and the Lord will be back before you know it. Love you. Peace. Like, give me a big old thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Thanks. Bye.